Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Tales, Season 5, Episode 21. As normally as we tell our guests where they, well, not exactly where they're from, but we're coming across the border, way north, into Canada today with Miss Lynette Fritzshaw. How you doing, Lynette?
I am great, Rod, other than I'm freezing cold, but I'm great.
Oh, it's cold up down here as well. How cold is it up there?
Minus 25 degrees Celsius right now,
Oh my God. Phew.
and it's been snowing for days.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But so before we get into it, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a retired career firefighter. I now own my own business and I empower women to find their voice. I do crisis intervention and trauma coaching. I am a mom to a 13-year-old boy who is, he's a teenager. I have an amazing husband, and I live in the Great White North and get out of here as much as I possibly can to travel.
Mm,
And I spend my spare time helping others, impacting others, speaking up, sharing my story. I wrote a book last year, so I am just in the process right now of recording the Audible. So I have a lot on the go. I'm always busy.
mm. Okay, so you said you were the first. You broke barriers. So let's get this out the way. You broke barriers in your hometown. You became the first female firefighter in your hometown. So, you were the first and only career female
Mhm.
firefighter in your department. What did breaking that barrier cost you, and what did it teach you about power, silence, and survival?
It cost me my well being, it cost me my health, it cost me so much sacrifice in every aspect of my life. I was determined and on a mission to prove that I was worthy. I was seeking external validation from others. I, yeah, I was in survival mode for almost 2 decades trying to prove myself. And eventually I decided that I needed to put myself first for the first time ever in my life, basically. I
Mm,
had succeeded in every aspect of my career. I broke barriers, like you said. I became the first and only female firefighter in my department. There still isn't another one. I was there full time career for 14 years. And I finally made a decision that I'd reached my limit. I had sacrificed enough and I wanted to heal. So I did the one thing that I refused to do my entire life was I got vulnerable and I
mm,
got really fucking honest with myself and decided that I had to own the role that I was playing in my own suffering. What I had allowed and what I had deemed as normal treatment for
mhm,
most of my life, for my entire career, the discrimination, the bullying, the harassment, the misogyny, all of it was not normal. But in order to survive, I just allowed it. And it became their normal. That's how
right.
they treated me because I allowed it. I never
Mm,
spoke up. I never wanted to be that girl. I never wanted to cause trouble. I wanted to prove to them that a girl could be in the department and all would be well. And I just finally decided that it wasn't worth the sacrifice anymore. I had done what I needed to do. I served my community. I loved my career and I was good at it too. But I had a story that I needed to tell. And I decided that the passion and the purpose behind that could impact way more people than me hiding behind the doors of a fire department.
right.
So I decided to tell my story on a podcast to start with. The same day that I retired from my job, I took an early retirement in 2023 because things still hadn't changed.
Mm,
And I went on a podcast and then I decided to write a book. I always said I would write a book someday.
mhm,
And I needed to, for myself, to be able to tell the whole story right from childhood. I'd kept secrets to keep others comfortable. We lived a facade, the perfect little family on the perfect little street. But behind closed doors was abuse and manipulation and all the things that I carried on throughout my life.
mm,
So I let it all out in a memoir. for the world to read. And I'll tell you, it was therapy times 1,000. To have a voice for the first time in my life, basically, to tell the truth about what really went on in my life
Hmm.
was the most empowering thing I could ever do for myself. It was the best gift I ever gave myself. But not
Mm.
only that, I had so many people come forward and say, I can relate to this on so many levels in my life, in my job, in my relationships, and not just women. A lot of men came forward too from the toxic culture of the fire department,
Okay.
saying, I left a career I loved because the bullying was happening to me too.
Okay. So, for you to, what inspired you to be a firefighter? Like, was there someone in your family who was a firefighter, or you just said, I just want to be a firefighter?
It was totally random. I had an interest in fire investigation to start with, and you didn't actually have to be a firefighter to be an fire investigator.
Hmm.
So I thought, well, I always liked investigative things, and it was kind of a random quest. So I decided to do the training to be a firefighter only for the purpose of knowing what went on the inside before
Hmm.
I were to come in and do an investigation. I thought that would make me more valuable, that would give me more insight. So I signed up for firefighting school for that reason. And I went down to Texas for it. And I was, again, the only female in my entire class of 24 guys.
Mm.
And I fell in love with it. I loved
Okay.
the adrenaline. I loved the skills. I loved the camaraderie. I loved every part of it. And I was like, fuck fire investigation. I'm going to be a firefighter.
Mm.
And then I started looking into the fact that there had never been a female. And I was like, I think I should be the first one because I love a challenge. And so I went for it.
So, okay, you become the first and only. You become the first and only. Like, how did they accept you when you first came?
They didn't. They fought me every step of the way. They tried everything for me not to get hired. They had secret meetings behind closed doors to try to dream up ways for me to not get the job.
Hmm.
There was a physical test that they decided that I had to do that no one had ever done. And then a year later, they decided that I had to do it again.
Mm.
So I had to do things 10 times more than anybody else. They were not welcoming. And they told me straight to my face, you're a nice girl. We like you, but we don't want you here. You don't belong here. This is no place for a lady.
Mm. So, when a fire occurred and you went on these missions with, went on these fire missions with the team, was it still like that? Nobody decided to help you when you were doing what you were doing out in the field?
I had some great guys that I did work with. So I never had an issue that way. The very first day that I started the job, I had a captain take me aside and he said, there's something that you need to know. We've all been in discussion and we're all in agreement that if you get yourself into any kind of trouble, we're not coming to save you. You're on your own.
Mm.
So I had that in the back of my mind at every single call. So I was doing so much self-talk, like don't get yourself into any kind of trouble. Don't find out if what he says is true or not. So I was very careful, like to the extreme. I didn't actually get to do the job to the full extent that I should have been able to because I had that fear in the back of my mind for most of my career.
Mm. Wow. So, they said you're on your own. You're on your own. So, after you say you left in 2023, uh was there any like parade or anything for you? Like, did they send you off, or they just said, or they didn't do anything?
They didn't do things to the extent that we normally would.
Hmm.
They wanted to try to prove a point that they were mad at me because I had already, gone out and did the podcast and stuff. So they had already made up their minds that they were going to show me that they were upset with me, but it just proved that what I already knew to be true. I did have some guys step forward that were amazing that I consider dear friends, and I always will. And they came forward personally and presented me with you get a commemorative axe and a wine bottle. And they came to my house and actually gave it to me rather than me actually being called to the fire hall and it be a ceremony and a thing. They didn't do that.
Well, we had a comment saying that they were hazing you, trying to break you, but that's a W for you that you didn't let them break you.
Yeah,
So,
there was hazing in the beginning. For sure there was. They played pranks, they did all of that. In my mind, I thought it was good. It made me feel like I was included because I was actually being part of the things that always happen. But it was the stuff that was behind the scenes that they were doing that was not hazing. It was downright discrimination and misogyny.
such as things as of what?
Taking me aside and telling me that, I was on my own. He did that in
Oh,
private. He closed the window, closed the door, made sure that nobody knew. They had secret backroom meetings, like I said, to try to find ways for me not to get hired. They put me through drills to try to get me to quit. He would walk up beside me and say, "All you have to do is say, I quit, Lynette, and this will all be over."
oh no, this no. You got your win. You hung in for 14 years. You got your
Yeah.
win. So, this after you left, so you said they still never hired anybody else, female?
Nope. There still isn't another one.
I believe you should have a statue.
I should have something.
Now, are you talked about in the town? Like you are a mythical figure, a shero?
By some, definitely by some. It was funny because I was listening to a podcast one day and it was talking about being a legend. And it was being the first at something made you a legend. And I was like, holy shit, I'm a legend.
You are.
I actually am. And I had never actually taken in the full amount of what I had actually done. I had never allowed myself to revel in the accomplishment of what I had actually done. And that was only a couple years ago that I finally saw it for what it really was and accepted it and acknowledged it for myself. Because it was a huge win. And everything that they threw at me to try to destroy me, I used to come out the other side stronger. I'm now making a way bigger impact than I could have if I was still, like I said, at the fire department.
Well, you persevered. You definitely persevered. You were relentless. You persevered. You didn't take no for an answer. Um, you're legend. You're definitely legendary. And that's
Thank you.
something that you said that your 13-year-old son, he can look at and be like, my mom's a legend.
Yeah. And I get to show other people that it's possible.
Correct. Correct. So you went on and did You're on Your Own. So how did writing You're on Your Own change your healing, and like what have readers told you about the impact of seeing their own experience reflected in your story?
Writing the memoir was the first time that I ever told everything,
Hmm.
vulnerable, honest, truth, right from childhood. I had to start the book in my childhood, which shocked quite a few people because they said I thought it was only about the fire department. And I'm like, my life didn't actually start in the fire department. There was a pattern. It started in childhood. It went into toxic and abusive relationships, which led into a toxic and abusive workplace. There's a pattern when we get into these things, and it always starts usually in childhood. And so I needed to be able to tell the truth about what my life was actually like because I had lived a facade my entire life and I was
Right.
tired of hiding. So it was beyond therapeutic. It was terrifying to put it out to the world and
I
say, this is
understand.
who I am, bearing it all. In all honesty, I probably could have wrote a series because I had to pick and choose what I put in the book because there was so much stuff. And it could have went on and on and on and on, but I had to pick and choose the things that I wanted to tell in order for it all to unfold and then show that I, had CPTSD and you can actually have post-traumatic growth and come out the other side stronger. It's not a life sentence like some people think it is. And I want to show people that it's possible to have resilience and strength and come out even stronger. When it feels like there is no light at the end of the tunnel whatsoever, where there is darkness, there's always light.
Correct. A comment was says update with you're up there. I guess it's supposed to say up there with Amelia Earhart.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And another comment said, Did you get backlash for the book?
Oh, yeah. I have been completely disowned by some of my brothers. Some of them, honestly, have been amazing and said, you have a story, you need to tell it, you deserve to tell it.
Hmm.
A bunch were really worried that their names were going to be in it. but I don't put any names. I don't need to, because the story isn't actually about them. They don't get that much credit. It's
Right.
my story. And so if they have any issues, I guess they need to write their own story.
True, 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 true. So you talk about, like, psychological injuries, caused by, authority figures. Like, how does the trauma from toxic leadership differ from other forms of trauma, and why is it so deeply silencing?
Because it's personal. And betrayal trauma is one of the hardest things to overcome because it's personal.
Hmm.
And everything that was done against me was personal. It had nothing to do with the job. The job, was amazing. People
Right.
said to me all the time, I can't imagine the trauma you've experienced by the job that you do, the things you've seen, the things you've done. Yeah, that's true. I did experience some insanely horrific scenes and things that people shouldn't see or do.
Right.
But I had skills and tools to be able to cope with that. I had a toolbox of things because I wanted to make sure that I took care of myself when it came to that. But I never in a million years thought that I would need to worry about the trauma from personal attacks. Betrayal trauma hits deep, and it hits hard. And when you silence your voice and keep secrets to keep others comfortable, it derails you, and it is really, really hard to come back from.
Now,
And these are
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry, cut you
these are
off.
men in authority positions that are supposed to be protecting me. They are
Hmm.
supposed to be looking out for me. They're supposed to be guiding me, mentoring me. And they were more than determined to tell me that I was left on my own.
Wow. What was I getting ready to say? Yeah, I mean, because when you think about it, when it's work, so it's business, and it got personal, so it's hard to interact at the place of work or business when it's becoming personal. If it's
Mhm.
business, it's like, yeah, whatever. I'm going home today, and it's whatever. But you said it got personal. So, question was, do you think you needed all of these toxic interactions, or rather chapters, to be where you are today? And if you had a chance, would you change anything?
I believe I was given this mountain to show others that it can be moved.
Okay.
I don't think I would be where I am if I hadn't have gone through what I did. I bring a completely different aspect to my business because I have the personal experience to back it up.
Hmm.
And I know that I went through what I did, like I said, so that I can show others that it's possible to get through it and come out the other side. It was horrible. I'm not going to lie. It was awful. But I
Right.
don't think that I would be making the impact that I am right now if I didn't go through what I went through.
Correct. I mean, but and that's the beauty of it. The story is written through the triumphs. Your trials and triumphs. That's what it goes through. So you make your own story. But what advice would you question again? What advice would you give a little girl who's looking into this career field?
Don't listen to the noise. Follow your passion. If it's something that you want to do, follow your passion and don't allow them to derail you, and speak up. That would be one of the things that I wish I had done from the very beginning, was have a voice. I know that I wouldn't have had a career had I spoke up from the beginning, just because of the dynamic and the framework of the department that I was in. But times have changed, and there are a lot more people that are willing to have your back and willing for you to speak up, and they're willing to listen.
All right. So, how did writing "You're on Your Own" change your healing? And what have readers told you about the impact of seeing their own experience reflected in your story?
Yeah, the last part I didn't answer. So many people have said it's relatable. As a woman, in my generation, I won't tell you how
Hmm.
old I am,
It's
but
fine.
so many of us girls were told to be seen and not heard when we were little.
Hmm.
And that taught us to not have a voice. And there are so many people that are like, that childhood was exactly mine. That upbringing was exactly mine, which got me into toxic relationships, abusive relationships. I silenced my voice. People wouldn't believe me if I spoke up anyways. So there's so many pieces of the story that are not fire department related that people are relating to. And
Right.
then, like I said, even men are relating to the story of the toxicity that's hidden behind those walls and the toxic leadership that goes on. It has to change because people are leaving careers that they love. People are committing suicide because of it, because
Hmm.
the bullying and the harassment, it's over the top. And the job is hard enough as it is. But when you don't feel protected and you don't feel like you can have a voice to really speak up on what is harming you,
Hmm.
it's detrimental to your well being. And so, so many people have stepped forward and said, I can relate to that on so many different levels.
So what kept you going every day? Even though you knew all this was going, what kept you going?
Stubbornness. I don't quit. That
Love it. Love it.
honestly,
Love it. You don't quit. So your book is titled You're on Your Own. And I'm just guessing because what he told you, you're on your own. So I'm guessing, is that the significance why you titled the story that?
it is. And I was on my own for, like I said, most of my life. I did everything by myself. And now I am in a space where I am so connected. And it takes a village when it comes to healing, when it comes to sharing stories. Like I don't do anything by myself anymore. I was so isolated. When you are going through the thick of things, you isolate yourself and you withdraw from people.
Hmm.
And the book is the opposite. Like that's what it stands for because I was on my own and now I refuse to do that. I will never do that again. I will never silence my voice. I will never keep secrets to keep others comfortable. And I want connection and empowerment and support.
Mm. Question from the comment: do you forgive them? If so, how were they? How were you able to?
I do forgive them. I feel sorry for them. And I wish them nothing but the days that they deserve, honestly.
Mm. Wow. Wow. So last one before we get out of here. If you look, okay, everything you've been through, and you looking at Lynette, younger Lynette, what would you tell younger Lynette that knows what everything you've been through to say? What would you tell your younger self?
Speak up. Don't silence your voice. Stand on your own 2 feet and use your voice. Own your power and use your voice.
Okay. All right. So you're on your own. Is there anything else that you're cooking up that you're writing?
I do have another book that started. It's not, it's kind of related to the first one, but it's not a continuation or anything. But then I kind of put it a little bit on the back burner. And just this week, I started doing the Audible version of You're on Your Own because so many people want to hear my story for me to tell it. So I have jumped in and I'm taking on the challenge of recording an Audible book. I've never narrated before, so I'm trying my best. And that will be hopefully coming out by the end of January. And then once that is out, then I will probably continue on with the second book.
Okay. Well, if anybody's looking to reach Lynette, you can fire within the crisisservice.com.
Yep. And
Fire.
I'm
Go ahead.
and
You
I'm
go
on
ahead.
Instagram and Facebook, Fire Within Crisis Services.
Okay. So when people reach out to you as far as that, do they just DM you or email you? Once they read the book, or they just put it on the actual where it's located, like Amazon or Audible or Kindle or whatever in the comments.
Yeah, the book is available on Amazon. If they want to reach out to me, I am the only one that answers my DMs. You can email me through my website if you want as well. All of my services that I do for trauma coaching and stuff is all available online as well. So you don't have to be local to me. I have a few different programs that I run that have great success in empowering people and supporting people to heal and
Which
navigate their
programs would there
journey.
be? Programs would they be?
I have a program called Phoenix Rising, and it is a full body program because I have the background of a personal trainer as well. So it is mental, emotional, and physical healing because it actually takes all three. So we do trauma coaching sessions one on one. I give you a nutrition program. We monitor your physical activity to make sure you're moving your body because when we move things through your mind, we need to move them through your body as well. So I have that program. I have Ignite Your Fire Within Healing Intensive, which is for women only. It is a very intensive, get down and dirty, get real and honest on your healing. And I
Mm,
walk you through a program for 6 weeks. And then I have one-on-one trauma coaching sessions that are available, and they have no time frame.
okay. All your titles connect with your story because I like that too. Fire from the Phoenix, because the Phoenix rise from the ashes. So I like that. As far as with you're on your own, Fire with Phoenix, everything is connecting to your story, which is really great.
Thank you. Yeah, I had stuck with Fire Within was kind of a tagline that I took many years ago, and it just carried through, and that was the title of my business. And
Oh, that's
there's
dope too because you definitely had a fire inside you that was fucking burning
I did.
to do
I
what you
did. It
had to
burned
do.
hot.
Yeah, like I know we get ready to go. You ain't never had to slap nobody on a job, did you?
No, I wanted to, but I didn't.
Oh, I'm just making sure that because I know how you said it got personal that you might have just had to pull somebody to the side in the locker room and be like, hold on, man, and just whatever. I
You
mean,
know, that's the difference between a female and a male, though, is when we come at somebody, we're nagging.
okay,
But when a guy comes at them, it's makes bigger impact. Whereas with women, they just ignore us. And this has made a way bigger impact than I ever could have possibly done by cornering somebody and doing something like that.
I mean, anything could have happened. Putting X-Lax in the person's food or something. I don't know. You could have did anything. I'm just saying if you did anything to anybody that you was just like, I gotta get him back.
This is getting them back even better. Me succeeding is the best revenge possible.
Yeah, I understand. Definitely. So thank you for coming. So once again, if anybody's looking to reach out to you, where can they reach you at?
They can find me on Instagram or Facebook, Fire Within Crisis Services. They can reach me at my website, firewithincrisisservices.com.
All right. Thank you, Miss Lynette, coming from Canada. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Rod.
So same time, same place next week. I think we have a sexologist next week. Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, sexologist on Christmas Eve at that. So
nice.
tried to move it because I know a lot of viewers probably wouldn't view it on Christmas Eve because they're probably setting up toys or doing whatever they got to do. But if you're like kids these days, they ain't sleeping at 7 p.m. So you're gonna be up, lay those cookies out for Santa with the milk and get yourself a drink, get yourself eggnog or whatever you like to do, whether it's vodka, vodka cognac or whiskey. Make sure you have a little fire inside you. See what I did?
You
Did
did.
it. We'll see you next week, 7 p.m. with our sexologist.